Hey, you guys, it's MJ. MJ stands for Molly Jane, some of you guys ask. And welcome to All to Love TV. All to Love TV started out as just me sharing my personal healing journey. I started sharing probably against my own better judgment back in 2012, and I have not stopped. I actually found this platform of sharing to oneself and knowing that you're putting a message out there. Hi, Michelle. Hey, Divine Sight. Well, hello, Molly Jane. Jayne, just so you know. It's one of those, isn't it, when you have a slight funny spelling to a name and you notice it, because many a time, I have actually done I remember I got some sort of ordination, and then the form they sent me, my certificate, was a JANE. My fucking graduation from LIPA, which is like a fairly prestigious drama school. There was some fucking yearbook thing and my name was JANE, and I specifically, anyway, I had some issues back in my institutionalization days. And then my last, when was the last time I saw JANE? I.e. people in institutions misspelling my name because it's got a Y. Not that any of that, what is in a name? When any other rose would taste as sweet, or something like that, quoting Shakespeare this morning. It's funny because I did that in my mind. I double checked your name, being like, oh no, you're Michelle. Because in the first look at it, it's like Michael, but it's not, it's Michelle. Alrighty, my lovers. So today I want to talk about what I always talk about, which is the paradigm shift, or the new paradigm. Ah oui, Michel en français. Could you do double as well in French? Yeah, I'm sure you could. So I really like the Jamie. Well, yeah, and then did they think, I don't know the Jamie, I know there's both, like a James or whatever, but then I'm like, so interesting. Jamie. I think I'm just on the French mindset, because when I see Jamie, I'm like, I don't know, I have to go into French accent, even though I'm totally English. You guys are awesome. Okay. So I've looped in these three kind of points as info for embodying and understanding this paradigm shift on this planet. And in a simple way, we know that all of this transformational stuff is a lot to do with our changing our belief system. And the way I see collectively, our culture, is that we have a distorted value system, i.e. around the world, we're more concerned about hoarding and stealing the world's resources than sharing and making sure everyone's all right. So I'm like, the paradigm shift is simply going from this greedy, divisive separation construct, which is inherently imbalanced, which is why we perceive this system as a patriarchal structure, i.e. a male-dominated structure, which of course is imbalanced, because what about all the females, So it's so the value system is a value system upgrade, where one by one, en masse, millions upon millions upon billions of humans just going, what am I doing? It's kind of like most of us, that's how the awakening was. It was just duh, I sometimes 20 years on am sort of perplexed that the whole world isn't already shifted, but hey ho, but otherwise I wouldn't have a career. So although most of us here in this new paradigm energy flow, we're here from a state of grace, ultimately, a place of true benevolence, of my whole entire life force is purely in service to the awakening of humanity. That is all. And and the majority of us that are here now gravitating to our expansive sharing here, you're all the same. We're all the same. We're just reflections of each other birthing this new world by our way of being, as in just who we are, just our natural, everything we've learned, everything we've come to be, all of our weird perspectives, all of that is encouraging and or ushering and or leading humanity to their own liberation and salvation. Why? Because it's our own, it's our own salvation, liberation, emancipation. I'm its freedom is juicy. It really is. I'm still working on a few little freedom pieces in my life. I'll let you know how it goes when I get there. But otherwise, enjoying life, enjoying chemie. I love that. And I can tell you have that background, don't you? Mediterranean, European, some sort, Spanish, certainly. I can see the chemie. I love that. Juan. It's like John is Juan. Just had that little moment of being shut up, Molly. Shush. Nobody cares about your know-it-allness. Okay. And so weirdly, I'm wanting to, but not weirdly at all, because there is no such thing as weird. But how does this all still link into the event? And I did an event video. In fact, it was the event video back in, I think, September last year, maybe October. And that was the video that Aluna shared. And the event, in essence, is a choosing and a choice in the moment to upgrade, to live through the embodiment of upgrading our value system, which means that we behave in accordance with the heart of humanity, as in we're all one and we're all in this together, as opposed to making shitty excuses for why it's okay to be shitty to one another and the earth because of, wait for it, money. It's let us do away with that construct mindfully and embrace a more benevolent, abundant, and freedom, more freedom for all, which is a company like All to Love. Everything I do is ultimately how to promote all of this, how to share all this in a fun way. Ideally not a domineering, austere way, because that would just be old paradigm, but in a way where it's hey guys, let's all try to eat less cruelty. Hey guys, let's try to buy stuff that doesn't pollute the oceans. Hey guys, let's try to actually be nice to each other and not screw each other over when it doesn't serve us or whatever. I'm replaying situations of people in my past where they've been the people who done me wrong. And when you do self-responsibility work, it's super duper humbling, right? Because you do have to look at how you invited these situations and how you're connected to these kind of people. You're fuck them. They're so mean to me. It's and there's an interesting, I'm now going off on a tangent when it comes to law of attraction and different stuff that I probably said at some point. And then now at this point triggers me when people are there's no such thing as bad luck. It's law of attraction. You attracted that shit, mofo lover. And you're oh God. And I think the difference is that what we attract are the energetic downloads. What we attract are our vibrations. We don't need to blame ourselves for attracting somebody else's shitty behavior, i.e. their karma is intertwined in their behavior. Just like our receiving of that energy is a receptor of a creation we outpoured via our own shittiness, and we can continue to perpetuate the blame and attack cycle. And this is straight up legit. My personal direct experience was a turning point just in one of these situations where in a spiritual yoga community, and then somebody just completely pulling the rug out, and then the camps were taking sides. All the women were some women were jumping my side, jumping her side, and then I think it was at the point where I got some pretty brutal gossip based on what these people were saying that I deep down was all right, I can either jump on board and be this fucking victim and be cat, blah, blah, or I can be like, that is a person that's allowed to do whatever they want. The fact that their choices fucked up my life is my responsibility. It's not that I'm saying, oh, they mean well, or that actually I'm not making excuses for their behavior whatsoever at all. And I still will not. And it's funny, is what I'm talking about is relevant to stuff I'm sitting with right now. Anywho, here's the thing, like, I don't have to own their shitty behavior, but I do have to own how I felt in that moment, i.e. brutalized, angry, upset, like a big fat fucking failure. Like, I'm gonna have to go back, and how could somebody do that? And that was a big piece for me of like the fierce love and the precursor to me ending up writing this book and setting and formally setting up All to Love as a limited company, working with investors, like up leveling the life path for me had a lot to do with invoking these situations. So no, of course I wouldn't blame these people for acting out in ways that I wouldn't act out. However, it certainly helped me to take my blinders off when it comes to listening to my intuition. And it's helped me to stay empowered, because when you deny the intuition along the path with somebody, which I did in that situation many years ago, it all comes out. It all comes out. Yes, they make us better. And every single human being cannot must face their own karma, which is it's actually a beautiful phase to be reaching into now, or reaching into and expanding out with. This level of awareness is like discerning more people on their path and like what edges they still carry, say around finances, say around love, romance, say around family, say around, and energetically, like still I can feel from within my field when facing other. This is kind of weird, but it makes sense considering my personal journey. And when it comes to blood family, I can like feel how people are still acting out and or entrenched in family patterning. It's like it's chords, and the family pattern stuff is probably our most collectively like our blind spots. And there's something to do with privilege with that, and there's something to do with male dominance in that. Male dominance and privilege kind of go hand in hand. Because again, what we want to remember is that I'm not talking about like men against women. I'm talking about male dominance within the self, i.e. me outworking or talking about things like relaxation, talking about things like self-love has taken years and years and years to develop, because all of us, when we're told to shut up and listen and disconnect from the intuition and just power through and be important and achieve, we're all being programmed to dominate ourselves. That's part of like a mind disconnected from its host destroys the host. Our own individual male dominance is what's fucking killing us as individuals, and then collectively. Not slowing down, not taking time to breathe, not taking time to cry, not taking time to heal, not taking time out. That incessant slave loop is ultimately what's killing us, and it's in the form of our own individuation of male domination. And yes, on the external plane, it still does look like male domination. But what we more and more of us know is that women can be male dominant dicks just as much as men can be, right? We can all use our own divisive angling to control and dominate other. And it's only in our unity self that we can tap our true divinity and our true power, which is profoundly healing, because it's so freaking powerful that it takes over oneself. And because of its power, some of these veils and some of these corrupted aspects of the false economy become more and more obvious, more and more obvious to the self. And so we don't abide by it. We don't engage with it. We don't go there. It's not worth it. It's when you're in service to all of humanity, you're not prioritizing family or your community or your spiritual little hub. All. That was something that I started to pick up on with, again, some of my community that love to have me talk or love to have me do sessions with them or usually for free. And then when it came down to actually bringing in someone I met who was in really a bad way, the police were after him and a whole bunch of shit, and I helped him out. I picked him up, I took him back, and I offered him a bed where I was living with my spiritual community, but they, behind my back and behind his, what do they do? Oh, is he drinking? Why is he da 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 da? What is Molly? You know, all this bullshit fear. There it is, the divisive tactic, our white fucking privilege being able to sit down and judge another white man for not having his shit together because he's hit hard times. And I just saw right there, right there. And I moved away. That was like the beginning of last year of 2018 when it all kicked off again for me. And I was like, I'm out. I'm out. I need to just be free. And this is part of that polarized shift now, is that I'm somebody who's really opening myself to receive, because I've been messed about so much by people with money and clout and prestige and property and, you know, people with all this stuff that I just assumed or gave the benefit to. And then when push came to shove, they weren't at all what they said they were. Or maybe they were a little bit. But I gave over my power to them because they had stuff that could help me at the time that I needed the help. And so for that, I am thankful. And I am actually thankful for the lessons they showed me about energy, just simply about energy, you know? Oh, Michelle, right? And that's got to be the toughest between I'm not a parent yet and like, I just got to go like parents and like moms and dads. I'm just like, how do you do it? What do you do? I know. Because I've not chosen that yet, because holy shazbat, just managing my own existence is gosh darn intense. So nothing in me, and I have trauma from past, you know, like 15 odd years ago, and then 10 years ago. And so there is an aspect of me still kind of embracing and healing that trauma insofar as me being able to be the, holy shazbot. Hi, sweet Cece. How are you, my friend? In as far as like what I vision, you know, and I'm not a woman who's been driven by that like some are, and I love and appreciate all humans. I'm just not somebody who's had that sort of maternal, a primordial maternal desire to give birth and to have my own child. And so I, you know, I recognize that as an event in one's life that is pretty significant, and one that I don't even pretend to try to relate to, other than just having a lot of empathy, love, and compassion. Not for everyone. No, and that's something as well that I can honestly say. It's like I'm 37 and people are like biological clock and da 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 da, and like, yeah, I'm not. It's not like I'm like totally resistant. For one, like you know, normally need certain things to be lined up for one to become pregnant. And then for me personally as well, I am navigating my own personal freedom break, so that if this body is meant to be of conception for the divine blah blah blah, then it shall be, and I shall set myself up to be the most divine mother that ever lived. No, I just make sure I'm in a sitch where, for me personally, I don't have to put the kid into the system. It can just live free on the planet, and I can observe what it's like to watch a human grow and not be corrupted by various things. You given birth to Jesus. Oh my god. I randomly as well. This is so funny. Oh, is it funny? I don't know. I'm finding it funny because you're like, give birth to Jesus. I am the Immaculate Conception. But what are you saying about Jesus? Somebody apparently, like, shortly after, this is like a yoga client, kind of a friend of via the yoga world in the area that I live in. And she, after I published my book, she randomly messaged me out of the blue saying, Molly, I had this dream about you, that you were like Jesus. And everyone was like, I was like, praise me. Kiss my feet, everybody. Kiss my feet. I'm like, my mother is calling as I say, kiss my feet. Everyone, kiss my feet. Shall I say yes to Mama's ass? And then Mama made her have a not do that to mother. However, could we start to wrap up the paradigm shift? Oh, is there anything I need to say? No, the event is okay. So we can extend the event idea to event horizon. And this is like a moment of almost like a nuclear bomb explosion, but actually it's divine light. The divine light. So it's like, and then we mentioned maybe in the light beam share where there's like these different lights lighting up and then becoming a beam and then becoming a dome and then expanding all over the world. So that's what's continuing to happen in wave form. So then the waves are overlapping, which is why it's so intense, which is why time is totally, the linearity of our concept of time is what's dissolving. So more and more of us are going to have really trippy experiences of lucidity, where literally dream space, reality, imagination, point of contact. Think of like Inception, or like not maybe not extreme, but I was thinking Inception, but then another one dropped in around like yeah, dissolving linearity, and if anything, it's just patterns, it's cycles, it's energy, rise and fall. So excited and less excited, super energized and then tired, exhausted, integrate. Shitty feelings of old residue, like, I thought I'd get over this pattern. Why am I feeling so disgusting? But you are over it. Stand down, devil. And then actually you're free. And like, you remember that you're working towards all this freedom stuff and like you're totally there, right? 2 days ago, everyone's been through the purge. I'm in bed eating popsicles. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that sounds really nice. I bet it's hot there, isn't it? You're on Maui, aren't you? CCC? No, and we have our it is, and it's hot. It's not hot here. It's still freaking cold and dreary over here in England, everybody. Although I just made a little one of those event things, and then I share that. I just had milk and cookies in bed. Funny that, because I was online yesterday looking for vegan cookie brands that I could order and deliver me some vegan cookies, like just because I had a craving yesterday, but didn't. I was too lazy, or not. I'm not like putting myself down, but you know what I mean. Like I was just lying here, like I can't be bothered to go to the shop. So so instead of just going to the shop, which is literally like a 2-minute walk, if that could even be like 30 seconds, where I know they have these really lovely lemon vegan cookies, instead I just went online and looked for vegan cookies. I didn't end up buying them. I did. And in the end, I did go to the shop and get the lemon cookies and various other things. Vegan pina colada, ice pop, ice pop. I so want to come over there. Flax vegan chocolate brownie. And we should add some. We should add some sprinklings of plants in there as well. Last year, my purchase weight. Last year was like for me the last year was the absolute washing clean. I couldn't quite get over what I'd become in certain moments of the year last year, and yet I kept being like thankful, really thankful to be getting to these. Like even though I was like, right, oh yeah, this is fair enough when it comes to all this transformation stuff. When you go the cycle, it's like you're at the top, and then you take a leap, and then you're gonna fall. And this is just my experience from multiple transformational cycles since I was 19, because I was fairly conscious doing all this stuff. Hence why I was able to write a book about like all this that I share with you guys. But like you leap, fall, and then you land, and then you skid out. So weirdly, I took like say the conscious leap from this next transformational cycle that I took was at the very beginning of 2016, and then I probably like hit rock bottom around like end of 2017, but then the rock bottom hit, and then 2018 was just like skidding out in the new shitty in the energies of like like all the ego bullshit that I could have possibly been carrying at that point was completely like washed clean. And here I am maintaining this sense of like stay focused, and shedding all the old, because the wash clean place actually, even though it was super duper painful inside, on an external level, it showed me a lot of like where I'm headed. It's weird, right? So some of my deepest, like, I'm having a break now, like everyone has destroyed me, like all my abandonment, rejection, betrayal, denial, all of it was just and then eventually you just keep going, and then you ride out that depth, and then I'm trying to think, skid out, skid out, skid out, skid out, and then there's just like and I think this whole year has been, this whole 6 months actually has just been the like, okay, okay, still alive. you know, as in the ashes have settled, and the smoke fog, or the just the impact wounds or whatever are starting to heal, and so now we can slowly dust ourselves off and start to like baby step forward. And that's kind of like this energy, this new paradigm energy that we're in right now, is like the dust is settling, shake off the residue, start moving, and like feel how, that's why a lot of us are yoga teachers, a lot of us are embodied, because people are going to need to be in their bodies. And and again, a lot of us, this is to me what's quite revolutionary about the days that we're living in the yoga world, is that we have to remember that a lot of our ancient kind of yoga traditions were male dominated, right? Women weren't allowed to practice. So, or maybe they were, and it was just few and far between. But like now, I think our practices are yes, spiritually anchored practices are totally becoming unified. More of us practicing yoga are practicing it and figuring out that unity piece, right? So it's not about the form, it's the authentic movement of self-care. That's to me what the evolution, what we're actually doing here. So the more and more of us coming into that embodiment, we can share that just in our beingness. And then again, studios and maybe land and centers, and like all of us are connecting, I think, in a lot of ways to actually work and collaborate together, as it continues to grow, because of course we don't know, it needs to feel completely supported, which is why a lot of us are having repeat cycles of sovereignty. Certainly I am. I'm having to really integrate my sovereignty and not fall back into patterns of like enmeshment and trying to merge with somebody else. Ultimately, that's coming from my own unworthiness and my own lack of value or belief that I can't do it on my own. It's not about I have to do it all by myself, but it does have to do with sovereignty. Like me being the truth of me, having me self-sustainable and blah, 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 and then aligning with a bunch of other leaders and practitioners that are vibrating the same, who understand that journey of rising out from the phoenix and not just leaning into the old archon grid, or, that grid of privilege and domination ultimately, which is totally coming out for me, my energy. It's really interesting to watch. And I know it's like deeply scary, because I'm aware that, not deeply scary, but I'm aware that there's like, it's highlighting to me that there's still potentially a few conversations or a few like things, but ultimately it's like, your freedom, like, it's almost like you can feel the mathematical grid filling in. And then once you're kind of acknowledging that filling in space, you're like, okay, and then I'll probably have to and like have this conversation, and maybe finish that there and move here. And you can just sort of feel it. I think, and again, that's once you've started moving after the bottoming out, you've taken in stock the whole cycle you've been through. And then you can also line up different patterns when you start to see them and kind of extend them. I'm noticing as I mature that the patterns are always bigger and deeper than the ones before. And yet they're bigger and deeper, but then there's little patterns within those bigger, deeper ones that are kind of easier to pick out because we're working in this new way, right? Yeah. Sweet Cece, you're doing it. You're doing it. You're doing it in your bed and with the popsicles. Girl, you always do yoga. And like, this is the thing about like you guys, is that I'm like, you guys are naturals. It's like whether you're doing the yoga vibrashe or like playing a flute or hi Kurt Mill, or doing your studies or whatever. It's like you're You're on it, you know? We've all got the yoga heart love vibration side, so we're good to go. Right, and this is how I know that's the soul groups, is like the soul groups authentically one, it's like there's a knowingness in the connection field, and then there's also, it's also part of the story resonance, so a lot of us will have similar-ish family backgrounds, a lot of us are white, working to middle classes, Western people, you know, we've had different veils lifted and are navigating our own divine path in our sovereignty. We're just another wave, you know. We're another wave of hey Christian get up I know. I love that too, and I love when you guys reflect it back because there's a couple of you that have mentioned it, and then that makes me do it more, like the manipulation of the vibration. Duct tape. When I like way back in the day, one of my first apartments that I tried to decorate, I used duct tape to hang up the wall, to hang up. I couldn't figure out like the thing. Duct tape branches on my family tree. Sweet CC. So this is something that's come up for me and other as well. Although I gotta say it's dreary, pretty cool, and still wet here in the UK. But the chills and the shivers. So this is something that I personally have noticed increasingly. Like I'm quite an adventurous type of gal. I like recently was back at my dad's and I love to swim. You know, I love being in the water, and I've always been somebody that's quite like up for it. So I'd go swimming, regardless of how effing cold the water was. And people, as a child or a young person, the adults would make fun of me because I'd come out of the water, my lips would be purple or blue, and I'd just be like shivering. They're like, "Is it cold?" I'm like, "I got brain freeze." But like, I loved the feeling of being in the water, so I would just always be in the water. And then recently, like I'm talking in the last, maybe this last belt, like these last couple of months or few months this year, maybe up to this whole year, but I feel like it's been amplifying a little bit more recently where, yeah, but it's come up in waves as well. Now that I'm having a recollection sweet CC. So I've had this sort of like, this slightly like leaning into the being uncomfortable in, it wouldn't even necessarily be cold. I would just like a wind would hit up against my arm and I'd just be like, oh, like that wind brush would just be like mega, mega sensitive. And I'd just be like, oh my God, fucking hell. I'm freezing. And then but like it wasn't cold. And I'm like, what is going on? So it must be something to do with our Inga and Pingala. It's the balancing energies in the body. And I'm hearing something, it's to do when we're going through another phase, which again, we're going waves and waves and waves. So these waves will keep coming. But there's like a time gap in the intellectual download process and the experiential biofeedback resonance and then the integration. So oftentimes when there's those little spaces, it's almost like we have these little spaces where our physical apparatus is a little bit more vulnerable to the elements because we're less present in the elemental connection, so we're not unified with it, and so we're in this sort of spirit space where like us brushing up against it is like a little bit like oh, that's a little intuitive noodle for you. I'm glad. I never thought of myself as like a funny person, but you guys make me feel funny, so I'm like yes. Yes, I just got one, brain freeze. Yes, VCC. Flowing, seeing reality and being present for me. Same, Kurt Mel. Really similar. Last year was more about reevaluating life, exploring grand possibilities, and rationally moving away from phobias and fears. Interesting. I love your perspective, dude. You make me feel funny. I know. Yeah. Mhm. Ooh, interesting, Michelle. I've been seeing solid objects vibrating. I actually kind of resonate with that. Like, depending on where I'm in my state of being, I often look at reality as like a painting. And so I'll see the kind of, uh, I guess you could say it's that holographic aspect, the simulation holographic aspect of our personal reality. The objects in my bedroom and things, and even the things in trees have been doing for a long time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and this is also us peering in beyond the veil, that we can see that there is it is illusory. And that's why I talk about in the Fearless Life Guide, I'm like, really truly our ability to shape shift the reality that we're all playing with is a collective agreement. So we just need a few more minds, a few more hearts waking up and then projecting a different reality. It's really that simple, even though it seems like tricky to kind of entrench people from that locked in old paradigm belief system. But also another weird like paradox, but also huge relief when it comes to all this stuff, including the event and the event horizon and paradigm shift and all these big monumental changes on the planet in a like, again, just like take the burden off, get out of our ego mind. It's already done. Like this, like the event paradigm shift is a cosmic divine outworking that has always been happening for me, in my awareness. Like it's always been going on. And even the times of my own kind of different breaking points or meltdowns or whatever, that would always be my divine reassurance when I was, yeah, broken or lost or whatever. In that moment, it would be like this deep divine knowing of like, this is all part of it. This is all, nothing is isolated. Me having an awareness of a paradigm shift in my knowingness and my intuitive capacity has been leading all these years to now be having a conversation with people from all over the world about their own awakening. It's not like we had conversations beforehand. You know, a lot of us that are connecting from all over the world, we're connecting via a divine frequency, you know, that isn't connected to 3D reality, because we would not be meeting here if we weren't called to disconnect or to almost lovingly say goodbye to old paradigm energy and go, I'm going to focus my energy here. And that's why we all meet. That's why we all get to co-create here, is because we've all chosen to not focus on that and instead literally focus on love, all to love. You know, we're just all moving to love. Like it's that simple. And it's not like we're mechanically doing it. Okay, let's make more love, everyone. We're going to make more love so that more people are ushering in. It's like, no, 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 we just are love. And then we are choosing to embody that love. And then that's just permeating the field. It's not like we have to do anything. We just actually have to do less to be more. And then once we be the more, then we do in accordance with divine law and love. I know, sweet CC, I'm there with you. I know, don't talk of that time. No, it never was. I'm like, could you imagine? I'm like, even though I know, like in my egoic personality as a human, like my 3D reality, I'm like, I know there were moments of like fun. I'm like, yeah, fun. But like, seriously, whenever I look back, I'm always like, yeah, I know it looked like fun, but I remember me in those moments trying to have fun because I was told I was supposed to have fun. But deep down inside, I was like, why is everybody, you know, like it was always like this scary, like twisted, distorted. Everyone's like, ha ha ha, oh my God, yeah. And I was like, why didn't, you know, like I just always had that. And like my passion would often get like just shut down by people, you know, a lot of this stuff. This is why I'm like, okay, I'll go on the internet and share it and see if I can find some peeps. Cause like when I'd share stuff in person, I'd either lose people or they would start attacking me for my belief systems. So I'd be like, and it's funny, it's kind of sad to me as well that like, you get attacked for being idealistic, that people would just shoot me down for being, you know, too idealistic or unrealistic. And I'm like, oh God, people just don't get that they're the ones perceiving their reality at all. And they're so fixated on what they were told and then identifying with what they were told as a means of false empowerment, right? It all makes sense and always has done inside my own awareness. I just continue to have to noodle and share in these shares because there's always like a demasking and a delayering, right? Christian Guerra, I'm so with you. And how weird. I just wait, what's this? I literally just had a moment where I almost wanted to take my top off. And I'm like, that would not be a good idea. And I have no idea why that came up. something about status quo maybe triggered a like, rip your bras off and burn them, and like women should be running around topless anyway. And I'm like, one of you turned up and imagined it, and it made me almost act it out, projecting. um, I like seriously, but going back to the Christian Guerra, short-lived experience. Right, same, Kurt Mill. Yeah, so it was only like a fractal, like a, a fleeting thing, and then hence where some addictions or like some of our less desirable, i.e., stuff that Eckhart Tolle talks about, the pleasure pain seeking, is that tiny little fleeting moment of like beauty and connection and expanse, and then that has us chasing the clubs or chasing the guys or chasing the booze or chasing the short skirts or the more money, and then we realize that it ain't out there, those fleeting moments of bliss, that it's inside, right? It's inside the self. And then status quo must die. I'm really with you there. And it's funny because it's not about, it's a weird judgment, right? Because the status quo has nothing to do with what we think it does, like how it looks. But the status quo is an energetic imprint of the old paradigm patterning, right? Of like all of that. And Roots did a share yesterday or something, or 2 days ago, very recent share she did about political correctness and other stuff that I really enjoyed, that noodle of like, again, that resonance of like, like who fucking cares? And, you know, it's all just dividing us. And we don't, there's no status quo, isn't it? It's like normalcy and conformity. I'm like, what are we fucking conforming to? Misery, enslavement, death? Right? It's a drain, man. I agree. Weird ass resistance to nudity. Yeah, well, weird ass indeed. Hi, Vatican, Catholicism, religious male-dominated construct that denies the feminine. Why, partly in our society, do women have to cover up? It's because men get triggered. But the only reason men get triggered is because as a whole, as a humanity, we're in shame of our sexuality. We're in shame of our bodies. Right? We perpetuate some ideal of perfection, whilst the shadow aspect is crying, isolation, deep self-loathing, and hatred. You know, and I never got all that airbrushing stuff. In truth, I might use the odd filter from time to time when I'm feeling like it just ups me, but like actually distorting your body and making yourself look differently, I don't understand that, right? But it shows how, again, that elastic band of the social threshold of wellness is ripping apart, right? We're just going to pull that elastic band until it snaps or until we let go. And the letting go is an individual call. At the same time, people are deeply, deeply depressed beyond what we're talking about. And it's not about glamorizing anxiety and depression. It's about going, there's something deeper here. People aren't self-creating depression and anxiety. We're living in a climate of oppression. And then because of that system of oppression and enslavement, no shit, everybody, and in denial of it. So, oh, no, we don't live in a system of control and domination. Oh, no. We're not trying to oppress and enslave all of you. Oh, right. Okay. God, why am I so depressed? Why do I hate myself? Why am I so anxious? Because it's being sold to us. That's like the next level. You know, it's being, I've got anxiety. Oh my God, me too. I can remember this when I was suffering with my bulimia and anorexia. It was almost like, and there was like support groups for it. And I realized that in my own beingness, I was like, I don't think this is healthy for me, because all the other bulimic girls just wanted to talk about like tricks of how to be more bulimic. And I just be like, I don't want, so what do? I start to hang out with the girls in my group of friends who were healthy and who loved themselves. And, you know, instead of going and hanging out with these support groups of girls who are twisted, but weirdly wanting to keep hold of their twistedness. Whereas I then shared, confessed, and started to, I've talked about like this stuff, right? From routine and ritual. Tradition, I always go up to these sweet CEO. I have the peripheral shadow cats and some shadow birds chilling with me lately. Kurt Mill, tradition is different from routine and ritual. I agree. Routine being consistent pattern, ritual being an inspiring consistent pattern, yes, in spirit. So we invoke spirit versus just the mundane, i.e., the brushing of the teeth and the morning making of the coffee and sitting in, and then up it to my ritual, which is my meditation practice, my self-love, blah, 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 more in spirit. And then tradition is just programming. So in essence as well, it might have been born out of, oh, I'm just gonna write that one down. Tradition is programming. Hence why revolution needs to happen in every generation so that we can pick and choose the ritual, inspired pattern, ritual, and then routine. And weirdly they go together. So it's like a compounding effect, routine and then ritual. And then these compounded create an essence of cultural tradition. And yet when we see cycles and evolution, all that we understand here is that that's going to continue to grow and expand and shift and morph and change. So what we're living in is a sort of apex shifty creative time where a lot of our stronghold, that which we'd loop into like a status quo, so something like the Catholic Church and everybody going, or the state and the church being intertwined, and now we're living at another sort of transformational apex of our human historical context, where it's like we're merging our scientific and our spiritual understanding to reprogram the traditions so that they're more in balance, because a lot of our traditions again are kind of programming born out of the desire to control and dominate. And it doesn't matter whether it's benevolent or malevolent. We are living in a time of mass manipulation where it's in our best interest to get clear in the self, i.e., what I tend to advocate, do your best to eat clean, healthy, natural food, do your best to not engage with to mainstream or even social that much, and don't engage with anything that triggers fear, don't engage with anything that makes you feel shitty or stressed or bad unless you really want to, and choose to hang out with open-minded, like-minded people in environments that are uplifting, spacious, light-filled. Unplug. I'm still working on Unplugged. I'd love if any of you guys are unplugged from mainstream and have been for a while and have felt a benefit. Can you email me? I want to do either a series of interviews or just have you even write out like what were the benefits, because I need to compile some case studies for Unplug for Freedom, which is the summer launch. I'm not going to finish this month, but I'm going to aim to finish over the summer, including helping a friend publish a hip hop book. So that's really fun. A little bit of bits and bobs and things and stuff coming coming through. Yes, a tradition tends to not be very inspiring. Right, it's manufactured. You took control. Yes, very much. It's like what Sasha says about not wanting to put down people who go to church every day or but he said about like, it's again the siphoning the energy, the spiritual warfare piece. It's that everyone's like shuffling along to go to their churches. Like my memory wasn't like exciting, and I know people have churches that maybe feel that way, but for me it weren't. It was like everybody just shuffles along to like, and when you think about it in a spiritual context, you can actually really see how it's like the overlords or the time lords or whatever are actually siphoning energy from the mosques, the churches, and the temples, because everybody's there praying to an external God and actually giving their energy externally, which is allowing the energetic domination grid to siphon the energy. And this is all part of the awakening, which is why the Vatican energy is like bouncing out of here and we're going, time to step into our power, because that's falling. That means of siphoning the energy is falling, right? No bank account or ID. And this is bringing me back. Stuff is kicking off here. I've mentioned this before. People that I know that are helping people disengage and reclaim their sovereignty, like actually, i.e. take their birth certificate and reclaim their sovereignty from the system so that their life force isn't being traded on the stock market. So that's happening. But the person I know randomly is not randomly, but they've been arrested. So I can see now that they're still like there's still a swing in as far as an anti-backlash movement rather than just us standing in our ground. So we're having a bit of practice around here. They're very connected. Yeah, I'd say so. I think my bank account. Yeah, I would say that for any of us. Like, are any of us any of those people that have had loads and loads and loads? You know, I'm like, my life would just be so different if I ever had that. Like, although I'm different now because there's actual much more purpose in a resource building way for people, obviously, to live well. Like, most of us aren't here to like take stuff, right? From IRS. And is that the American equivalent to like HMRC, which is like the tax, the inland revenue in IRS, inland revenue. Yeah, yeah, it must be 17. Definitely, Kurt, taking action. In that sort of timeline, what I on my egoic level I was not anticipating, and yet that's the beauty of manifestation is it knocks you for six so that you get washed clean as much as possible to embed new energies and keep them founded. Interesting for you, Kurt, as well, because someone's come back in my awareness is Peter Joseph, who runs a channel called Culture of Decline, and his one of his documentaries, or a documentary that he was involved in creating, called The Zeitgeist in Endem, and that's like a 2-hour documentary about the economy. And I remember watching that back in 2005. And so what I'm aware of is that I believe that we're now heading into these times of a major systematic overthrow. And something else, although I could be kind of a bit idealistic or getting my hopes up around this, is that I'm actually hearing financial reset. A financial reset is that there's going to be somehow countries all over the world that decide to kind of like let go of the debt, let go of the debt, reset everything, and then energetically and intuitively, to me, what we're experiencing here now is because watching, waiting, right? There's like this feeling. And so in my cycle, what I'm aware of is that these are deeper and bigger. Each transformational cycle as a human being on this timeline, that each cycle we go through at different points in our lives get bigger and deeper and bigger and deeper, because we can carry it, we can hold it, we can expand it. So imagine you're going through a transformational cycle and the waves are crashing upon the shore like normal, and then you take a really big leap and the tide's going to go really far out, so far out that you're like, oh shit, where did water go? Are we even doing this or what? So it's like the water just disappeared and we're all just stood there in anticipation, waiting for it to return. And yes, there is that sense of waiting for it to return. And as we see it, there might be some people that go running. There might be some people who grab their life jackets. There might be something that run toward it as it comes out, right? But a lot of this new wave of energy is the new energy, i.e. the event horizon. And really, truly, the economy is one and the same as our value system. Once we more and more and more and more begin to heart vibrate and like love one another truly and care more about the well-being of the planet and one another rather than our personal material gain, boom, then we start to see the fall apart and the rebuilding of the economic world. The economic world is really just us in a more aware sense of exchange, and also survival here in as far as the resources go. And it's the mass awakening in that we don't need a few people micromanaging the entire globe when it comes to food, water, and energy, and so the awakening of the masses is ultimately what is shape-shifting the world as we know it. We are part of the mass, but we're also stronghold energetic conduits. We are, those of us in this community, I would say, it's only because we're leading edge, we're sort of pioneering it through the vessel that we are. And nothing looks like the way, like leadership in the 3D. That's not how it looks anymore. Like everything gets flipped around. If anything, in new paradigm, nobody even necessarily gives you shit about the leaders. The leaders are servants, essentially. you know and then the servants are, everybody gets to feel important and belonging. I'm gonna write that note down, Kurt. And then energy patterning, something like that. China would forgive debt to be top dog. I like that. Reset, overhaul. Chris, same. When I made lots of money, it wasn't better. Yeah, none of it. It's, you know, I think I might try and do an overview of that share. Thanks, Kurt. I know. Well, here the reset is happening because the masses are getting more and more angry. Their ditch attempts to try to numb and nullify their ditch attempts are not working anymore. And this, I was actually going to have 5G as part of this topic, but it's not. There's other people talking about it, and I'll let you guys discern what you want to do with that information. No matter what, I'll always propagate that we are the most advanced technology, and that anything that is propagating fear externally is an agenda. It's attached to an agenda to continue to trigger the reptilian mind of the human. Our ability to just stay present and be in love and in honest truth with our beingness, that's all there is. And our creation vortex is ultimately one of polarity. There's always going to be contrast. The depth of the contrast is a choice. It is a divine choice, though. So often when we're navigating, it's all merging and bringing everything into the consciousness field. And so it's okay. Even the shittiest of the shit, it's still okay because it's coming out. Yeah, Chris, right? I think that's something for a lot of us. It's like, I've never, it's like, I don't know what I'm saying. I've always just felt really abundant. That's the thing, is that regardless of like how much money I've had in my bank account at any given time, which is never a substantial amount considering the world order of things, I've always been that person who would give everything she has away. Like if I only have 50 note and I see a homeless guy and I'm called to give it, I'll just give it because I know deep down I'm always provided for, you know. Hmm. Well, and Kurt, here, okay, so this is connecting in with something I'm getting or feeling or sensing. There again, I think there's a little bit of an issue of us thinking it's outside of self, or that we're going to transcend it or escape it. The reset, though, in my awareness, has to do with how we're spending our money. A lot of it. And ultimately, the reset is also because people in their day-to-day lives are taking leaps. They're leaving corporate jobs. They're leaving the corporate sector. People are bouncing out of their mortgages. People are selling up shop, right? So the more people create that mass exodus, the actual economy bottoms out. So the leaders, or the people that are managing the monetary reserve, or the fund, whatever it's called, the monetary fund, they kind of have no, they fucked it basically. They have no other option but to do the reset because they've drained, because of the greedy people who are still buying in, they've drained it. They've made the money disappear. And so we participate by choosing to spend our money in other ways and to have a conversation. When I made lots of money, I spent it on others. Yeah, that's like me too. And like just take us on holiday and buy lovely things for people around me. And then there again, I'm like, oh damn, you never save anything though, because you're just always giving it away. But there again, I think is abundance. That is true abundance and flow. It just keeps moving. You just keep moving that currency. Right now, there's a whole bunch of our world's resources just being hoarded offshore and all these different hidden places out of pure greed and energy harnessing. But it's the energy which strips us of our vitality. So we want to take that back and then redirect our currency, redirect where we're putting our money, right? And I agree, and I also get that about, I'm getting, and I do a share about it today, paradigm shift, the event. I too it's tiresome. I get tired of hearing about the reset or the event or like these crazy big things that are going to happen. Thing is, there are going to be big things that happen, but they've always been happening and they'll continue to be happening. What we have to understand is that the majority of stuff being propagated in mainstream news media is a fearful agenda. It is fearful. And so we can come on here and share and say, yes, this reset thing, it is happening, but we're one with it. It's not something happening outside of us to save us. It's that we're doing it. We, by our actions, are doing the reset. And the reset is an internal thing. I've reset. I'm already reset, right? So the more of us that reset, i.e. not that this, then that's the reset. And then that pioneers the new, right? We set the price. Damn straight, Jazz Sinclair. Hey, bud. It's kind of a matter of a lack of values being reinforced by action. That's right. It's a hypocrisy, but I would say it's also a form of protest in our actions, right? It's like in a world that wants to perpetuate violence and fear and war, we become as peaceful and loving as possible. In a world that wants to perpetuate materiality as the way, we become as generous, benevolent, and non-material as possible, i.e. non-precedent. We don't give precedent to anything outside of self. We give precedent to the love of humanity, right? I know, Rochelle. Hey, Rochelle. And we didn't even know we were doing it. We were doing it all along, right? Oh yeah, keeping the creators in fight or flight and surviving. That's how we stay stuck. I know, that's the point. That's the weird delusion of the world, the matrix. Is like a lot of these people, leader types, they're some of the like, and I say this with love, but like Donald Trump or like some of those people in the office or people being bought out in politics, like in a weird way, these are some of the weakest souls. These are some of the most, you're just like, oh, brutal. Like, you've got some karma coming your way, my friend. You know, like, it's that classic thing of the people that have been dicks and been selling out and da-da-da-da, they're gonna bottom out too one day. When we stop giving our money to the oil barons, and those people are also going to have to just deal with all the shit, just like we've had to deal with a bunch of shit from ages and ages and whatever, right? It's kind of like we all got karma. We can't run out. And that's all we are people are more rare humans who broke free from the masses a little earlier than the next wave and the next wave and the next wave. And like those who broke free way before us. And we just broke free on a very similar recognition that, oh shit, I can't run away from myself. And I am all. So I'm going to have to face all created that triggers some pain, deal with the pain, and then keep moving, keep growing, keep loving. Just helping us grow, more access. Yeah, there's also the information management. And then here what I'm getting is like the misinformation. It's that there's always going to be a kind of backlash or a vortexual black hole. Like all this information is like, wow, but then it's also like a hot mess of confusion. Yeah, right. And there's so I feel a lot of that, which is probably why I'm in my own journey right now, being guided to be so freaking. I'm not isolated in like a scary negative way. I'm isolated in as far as my discerning the information I engage with, which part of the reason I think some of you guys gravitate here is because I'm not engaging in other information. I'm for fun. My entertainment is like a little Netflix. Maybe I've been watching a show called Street Food, which I find it fascinating and enjoyable to watch. I randomly watched the movie Beauty and the Beast. I didn't finish watching it, but I started watching a movie with Emma Watson. Beauty, it's exactly the same as the cartoon, weirdly, but then that reminded me of things. And so the point of what I'm sharing with you guys is that like it's pure heart, love, vibration, intuition. Like I'm not really plucking, and there will be hints of this, but I'm not plucking the language I use from other channels. I'm not talking the talk of other I don't know, teachers or whatever, because I've been down there. Like I worked with a mentor. I had like a backer. I had somebody be like, we're gonna blah, blah, blah. And so we're gonna have you making. I was like, yeah. And then the person was telling me how to talk and telling me what to do and telling me how I should dress and telling me, and then eventually 6 months into working with this guy, I was just like, like, I can't do it your way. I don't care about how much money you're promising me or whatever. Like, I can't fake it. I don't know, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, what's the point of faking it? What's the point of manipulating people if this is a global paradigm shift? Everyone's going to call it out anyway, right? And I don't want to I don't want to make promises. That's the thing about, like, I think have all this new age spirituality or whatever. It's just one paradigm to another paradigm to another to another, and like, just be mindful, you know? And this is the biggest thing, which I think is really deep and profound, but like, I really truly, and I think you guys really get that. Like, I don't want to take anything from you. I don't really want, and we know we can't take anything with us. So why, compromise the self for anything external? Anyway, I'm totally like sweet CC, hot mess. There again, wanted to take the top off. Not sure what's going on here, you guys. Oh yeah, food travel vlogs. I do enjoy a bit of vegan vlogging from time to time. Hot mess. I know. It's like, well, I remember way back in my early awakenings, like 2001, 2002 and 3, I knew intuitively that the UK was like a melting pot. And it's almost like, again, the heart of this transformation, even though weirdly, like, some of the physical changes might be the last at the UK borders, but like, it's a hot mess in the UK, that's for damn sure. Because the British are so proud of like their whiteness and their Britishness. Like, this is abstract, but there's probably some relevance to it. And yet they're weirdly just as sort of domineering and corrupted and divide and conquer and like brutal as the Americans, but like they perceive themselves to be a little bit much better than everybody else. And I'm like, you got it coming for you, you classist British people. I know, it's 2019. Ooh, Chris, I like that. Tribal electric. Rah! And nothing we shall go. Exactly. Yes, I'm including the age of innovation with imagination. I like it. As real as the banking system. I need to go up, including the age of innovation. Karma is as real as the banking system. But here's the thing. Okay, I'm noodling now with karma. It's that, and that, because I remember getting hardcore triggered on one of these live shares once, because somebody was like, I have found a way to get rid of all karma. Karma's another word that I want to be mindful of throwing around, and I've been using it more lately, but karma is just another word for energy to me. It's just that what you reap, you sow. That's what karma is, ongoing, continuous. It's not like, because we talk about these karmic cycles. Karmic cycles are transformational cycles because you're facing whatever shadow shit, whatever darkness, whatever karma energy that you've been denying or unconscious of, and then it's coming at you, and you're like, that's karma. That's you facing your energy and you integrating the energy that you are. So yeah, I would just really simplify any, and people might not agree, but yeah, to me, karma is just energy. And karma, the way we can kind of understand or see karma, is really in connection to law of attraction, that we reap what we sow. But because of when I was talking about, it's not linear, it's like cycles and patterns and rises and falls. It's the cycles and patterns. And that there again, I have this weird visceral like awareness of maths, and like how we as a being are like all made up of different sacred geometric patterns, and the patterns that we're actually made up of are that which we are facing and outworking in our life. And as we outwork it, we upgrade it, but there's always patterns going on, always, i.e. there's always karma, because karma is, it's energy. It's in you. Yeah, we can't not, if it's being reflected, it's in us. Once it's out though as well. So a lot of us, you guys know I work a lot with like the actual physical apparatus and projecting the physical, and also doing a lot of self-healing via the light, right? And that's actually like, once we start to do the regenesis, everything reverses. So like, For example, you might have a fear if you've been working with a lot of body shame stuff, you're like, "Oh no, I'm getting fat." But weirdly, when you're doing new paradigm, i.e. choosing to manifest your body, the opposite. So often when the body goes through a bit of a like gets bigger, it's actually getting ready to clear out another layer of density. So the feeling of oh no, oh like I got fat or it changed. It's like no, you've reversed it now. So the patterning is always taking us to our desired effect, not going back into the pattern of when it all went to shit. If that makes sense to you guys. So everything's reversed. Everything's like flipped around, inside out, and on top of his head, kind of thing. Kurt. Right. So energy, what you reap, what you sow. If you've through your divine will have gone and enslaved, or your egoic will rather, gone and enslaved and massacred hundreds of thousands of people, that karma is yours, baby. Um, and in fairness, when you get really real about the being that you are, you could be one of those people. I could be one of those people. That could be why I'm wanting to give so much love. Like I could have been a being that really did enslave mostly, not massacred, but enslaved those people. Part of being authentic is honoring and owning the shit that you remember in your field, and you're like, oh god, oh. Imagine using your power for darkness. Ugh. Except here we are in this infinite contrasting reality, and it's like, there's no judgment except outside of self. It's only the self that judges, and yet we have memory. We have memory of our beingness, and that's what we have to be willing to look at and transform. If we find the darkness, if we find that aspect of self. Ooh, interesting, and that's karma too. Mhm. Mhm. It's there, yeah, precisely. There's still an outpouring and then a receptive. Interesting. Gotta look into that. I wonder what. Yes, Mia's. Why is my pattern a cellular ancestral memory? Ah, miasmic. There's a word there. Mm-mm. No, but I'm sure I've maybe noodled with the age of imagination. It's totally all connected. It's part of bridging this gap for sure. Having peanut butter. How weird! I didn't buy peanut butter again yesterday. And it was the weirdest thing. I was in the shop, like, staring at the peanut butter, like, really, like, meditating, being like, "Do I want it? Do I need the peanut butter? I'm not sure." And then I also almost bought peanuts and then didn't. I'm not sure what's up. I obviously just need a break from nuts. I've obviously just overdosed on fucking salty nuts, you guys. I need to have a break. Girlfriend, okay, this is gonna sound really bizarre, but back in my more, like, hardcore food obsessed days, like anorexia vibrashe, I just lived on popsicles because they were fat free. I was 13 years old. I was obsessed with like just eating zero fat. So I would eat like fruit, popsicles, sometimes cereal. But you can imagine that kind of fucks your system up a bit when you only eat water, sugar. Like, um, I have a vlog probably from 2014 of me doing salty nut balls, or I did some share and I still giggle about it in my own mind about like nut balls. I'm such a child when it comes to that stuff. Like, oh, Jazz, what a great comment. Imagine being God and judging yourself. Like, how dare you? Like, ah! I'll try again. I'll try harder. No, if anything, God's like, come here, you did it. Like, even the worst of the worst human, I bet God would be like, you did all right, bud. You gotta go do it again though, because you fucked it. Like, I think our collective God is a lot cooler than maybe what we initially projected, i.e., we are cooler and more powerful than what we initially projected as well. It all worked out, not bad. Cheers. Oh, bummer internet connection. I'm connected pretty good here. Yeah, I just looked over the clock being like, I knew it'd been over an hour. I just had vegan. You had vegan fajitas. You had the popsicles. Let's all go to Sweet CC's house and eat some fajitas and some popsicles, and then go swimming with the dolphins and the whales. And remember the anyway, I'm blabbing on. Oh yeah, peanut butter and banana sandwich is the juice of life, isn't it? Or any of you guys do this, like just peanut butter and banana? I was like obsessed for a chunk of my life, and then I still return to this from time to time, but just banana, peanut butter, and peanut butter spoon, and then peanut butter, banana. And peaches are like up there, my favorite fruits, actually. And I love how you're like, just banana. Like, yep, just banana is awesome too. Okay. Yes. 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 Oh my God. Yes. 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 I just felt like what's her face from that movie. What's her name, you guys? When Harry Met Sally and she does the fake orgasm, and now we're all just going, yes, 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 yes. You guys, that has got to be the end. All of us have just had an almighty orgasm, and that is fantastic, whether you're going to bed or whether you're getting to start your day. Oh my God. Yes, yes, yes. And that's what she does, isn't it? So thanks for a great share this morning, you guys. Look at the smiles. 555. Off I go. 727. I love you guys. You bring joy to my life, and I only wish this benevolent joy for you and your guys' life. Virtual hugs. Virtual hugs. Have a vibrashe. Have a great day. I love you guys. Love you, love you, love you. Bye.